Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Renell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right, and we are here for an episode of Broker Than You. I would like to thank our loyal audience. We had an astounding 46,000 viewers on YouTube alone, which I believe is our largest yet. So
Dude,
thank
your
you.
aunt has to be watching. Your aunt has to be watching.
I got to get Aunt Lori on here. Yeah, I do. So we have the King of Kings of Real Estate, Erie, Pennsylvania.
There's
Laban
one
Marsh.
King of Kings. That's our Lord and Savior. But I am the King of Real Estate.
True. That's true. The King of Real Estate. And we have our entrepreneur extraordinaire, owner of FreshFold Laundry Co. in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, Nedvonne Young. Fresh, great to see you.
Good to see you guys.
Always. And in this episode, we are going to talk about getting comfortable being uncomfortable. From progress in business decisions to personal growth, it's something that you really have to do in order to make progress and succeed. We break down how to stop running from discomfort and start using it as a tool for confidence, clarity, and success. So, you know, there is a difference between fear and risk. And I think we have all experienced moments of those situations. And Laban, you know, what would you say about that? You know, the difference between having fear and risk about making a decision or something in your personal growth that has affected you.
Well, and I have to give credit to this gentleman right here. You may or may not recognize, that's Dr. Alan Goldberg, who was brought into the University of Connecticut as a sports psychologist, worked with the men's and women's basketball teams. And because we were UC, right, we had the U of C on, the sweatpants and all that. but he talked about UCs being uncontrollables. And he talked about control what you can control. And he also talked about get comfortable being uncomfortable. And we all know as athletes, I mean, that it makes sense in the spotlight and in athletics. But man, I have used this term with our agents for 18 years of being in business. And we always tell people, like, this is why practice is important. Because when you get, and Gino Ariama did a great talk on this, when you get into competition or that sales pitch, your technique falls away a little bit from what you practice. And, you know, when you didn't have the real audience, so it's like, you don't want to practice on a $20,000 commission opportunity. Like, you need to be well prepared, because when you get into that live situation and now you got to make decisions on the fly, if you are the most comfortable person in an uncomfortable situation, you will likely succeed. And on a more athletic level, I think of this because it came up as a reminder. I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when I played in a table tennis tournament. Yeah, no stress at all. But we get to the finals, and I had to face a guy who was just a regular guy who'd never been in a competition of that magnitude. And I literally just kept reminding myself that get comfortable being uncomfortable. I have been in this pressure situation far more often than the guy across the table. So I know I have an advantage to where I can beat him with my confidence, my experience, and keeping calm. And one of the first things that Dr. Goldberg would say is focus on the now. Like, when you are in that situation, just focus on what it is at hand. And with ADHD and whatever other acronyms, it's easy to go squirrel and start to lose that focus. But I think that is just such a key aspect of success, is handling uncomfortable situations, taking those risks that a lot of people don't want to take, and then having the confidence that you're going to find a way to make this happen, whether it's with your teammates, you know, whatever it is, your advisors. I think that is one of the most valuable lessons in life, is to get comfortable being uncomfortable in any situation, but especially professionally speaking, when you are the expert, it is so much difference as far as how it comes across. People will say, man, you have a lot of passion, or man, you seem to know, a lot about this. So it comes from those instances where most people fumble their words. Like, you just have to convey that confidence is half the battle, I think.
Fresh?
Yeah. So, I mean, what I would add to that is just starting with like your basic kind of definition stuff. Fear is something that's really more dealing with your emotions. It's a lot of times it's unconscious. Like,
that's very true.
Perceived related to something like you may see as danger. All right. So it's like this where some fear comes from. When you talk about risk, it usually it's based around some kind of calculation. You kind of say, well, what's the risk? What's my risk? All right. Is, just from simple, like one of the first things most of us learn growing up somewhere is like crossing the street, right? You have a calculator, the likelihood of you getting hit by a car has been decreased because you were taught to look both ways before you cross the street. So you calculated the risk of not getting hurt by you having knowledge, using that knowledge and training yourself upon that knowledge to make sure that you kind of reduce your risk, or you just analyze and know what the risk is, and then you make a determination on whether you're going to do something or not. But fear is just usually like, boom, it's kind of knee jerk. Something happens, a little, just things startle you, be a little like a dog barking out of nowhere, like just kind of surprises you, those types of things. And the thing is how you handle both of those things will determine how you are as a person and how you are as a professional. So if you let fear take you over and consume you and distract you from the task at hand, from the things you try to accomplish, you're not gonna get very far. You're not gonna accomplish much. All right. So you can't let fear do that. But what you can do is take that fear and analyze it, right? Shift it over to what may be giving you fear. Shift it over to the risk side. Then you can analyze and calculate. Okay, well, how to move forward. If I move this way, what's the risk there? If I move another way, what's the risk there? And then now, the whole point is that you're calculating whether you move one way or the other. You're already thinking about moving. You're going to be moving in the direction you need to be moving in towards the goal or the task or something you're trying to achieve. So I would say, it is, you need to know the difference between those two, but don't let fear be your master. And you need to, it's healthy to have some of it because it's naturally can save you. But if you live in a state of constant fear, you put yourself in a bad position. So always, and that's one way that I would suggest you start, if you haven't already, to start to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That fear is uncomfortable, but that's way you can move towards getting more comfortable with it and start to move it to the calculated side so that it's more of a risk than a fear.
Well, and I think one of the things that you mentioned early on is the physiological changes in your body when you have fear, right? I don't care if it's fear going to a basement in a dark house, all these different factors. But honestly, it's you're usually like the nervousness, right? And so if you can find a way to take that nervousness into excitement, right? Like you talk to people and it's like, hey, are you nervous about tonight? Well, I'm not nervous. I'm excited. Like, I think for those who have that understanding of the physiological changes in your body, like use that as, fuel versus it's almost like the fight or flight, right? You're either going to be so afraid that you're just literally frozen, or you run a lot faster because that dog will rip your leg off. You know what I mean? And I tell people, I actually did this once. I had a girl on the runway that I know she was not running that fast. So I had another girl chase her down the runway. But, I think sometimes when you act out of fear or nervousness, you tend to slip up. And that's where even as a coach, I think about, and you get comfortable being uncomfortable. We decided this weekend, we were planning on going to Harbor Creek for an invitational where I was going to coach our 3 boys and 3 girls. And early in the week, our head coach said, hey, there's an opportunity for some of our elite kids to go down to Butler, which is a great meet, really good competition. Well, our top girl, like I thoroughly enjoyed coaching her. She's very comfortable with me coaching her, but she's going to go down and jump with our head coach, who's also a pole vault coach. So he's super knowledgeable, but it's going to be uncomfortable for her because she's so used to me coaching her. It is going to be so good for her. As much as I'm going to miss her and miss coaching her, it is going to be good for her, both for the competition level, but also because, hey, you don't get the comfort of just having your coach that you're used to. It just puts her in a different situation where I'm excited for her to have to kind of dig in, and I don't know how she'll handle it. I think she'll do great. But it's just one of those things where even as a coach, like, I don't want to put her in an uncomfortable situation. And yet I know the best thing for her is going to be to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and don't use it. Like we talked about this with, who was it? Jones, that he'd get hammered. So he made an excuse if he lost. Like, I don't want you to make excuses like, my coach wasn't here, so I didn't do as good. No, you have to it's almost like Lucas and I have always said, and Lucas was the one to go in, pressure makes me fresher. I mean, it's like and you don't want to put pressure on yourself, but just know this is an opportunity where I can shine, where in most circumstances I shouldn't be able to, like proving other people wrong and getting comfortable being uncomfortable. And so I just think, again, that fear that we're talking about, physiologically turns into that butterflies or the nervousness, but it's the same nervousness and physiological changes when you get excited. Like, I've never jumped out of a plane or bungee jumped, but how you're standing on the edge, it's fear. And then as soon as you jump, it's like relief and pure adrenaline. So once you've done it once and you realize that, hey, let me focus on the end, like what brings all this hard work and discomfort is going to be something most people aren't willing to sacrifice to get there. So I think, again, if you can learn when you're starting to feel that fear or nervousness, it really comes down to that self-talk, Dr. Alan Goldberg, and, control the uncontrollables. If it is something that you have no control over, the weather, I mean, there's so many factors, let it go, dude. Like, it is not even worth focusing on, especially if it's already over. So I think you're right, Fresh. I mean, working, it's that fear, but if you can turn it into excitement and fuel, that's that is a art, a skill that you have to learn by putting yourself in uncomfortable situations and then just doing the best you can.
Yeah. And I would say I live to be uncomfortable. I enjoy it. I thrive on it. Put
Honestly.
me in the most uncomfortable situations, and I love to be there. I love to prove people wrong.
Yeah, so tell me, Steve, because you've had a few of these where like you got interviewed, you hosted that, was it the red dress something, recently? Like when you MC and do that stuff, like that is kind of in your wheelhouse. But do you ever get nervous or nope? Talking in front of people. I mean, you've been doing this. You were a communications major, weren't you?
No, I switched. I ended up being a sociology major. But I would say the only time I was uncomfortable was having to speak and do a eulogy. That was the one thing that I really was uncomfortable with, because I've spoke at banquets. I spoke at my graduation. I've spoke at fundraisers. Yeah.
You spoke at your graduation?
Yeah. Yeah. My high school graduation.
Were you the valedictorian or class president?
Nope. Neither.
Just a spokesman?
No. They had a competition for one regular student to speak as well. And I entered it. And I won, and I got to talk.
So you won? I mean, I do remember Fresh. I don't know if you were in Gamble when Steve sung to Meg and I. Dude, Steve Cully, for the freshman talent show, sung a song by Jewel to Meg and myself. Literally.
And yeah.
He says on, like, I'm singing this for Laban. Like, I was more uncomfortable than you were, dude.
Yeah. Wait a minute. The entire
that's a true story, bro.
Wait, what was the song?
Video.
I don't remember the song.
Jewel.
Foolish Games by Jewel. And I got down on one knee during the song.
Dude, I don't even know if we had cell phones then, if anybody has that on video, dude.
We do. Cappy videoed it.
Are you kidding me? There's video of it?
There's video. I think I have it, actually.
Oh my gosh, bro. If you can find that, roll that into one of these commercial breaks.
I would have to digitize it, but yeah, I mean, I loved it. No problem. Well, I remember after practice, the winning freshman skit refused to perform. And Randy said, someone's got to fucking do it. Who's doing it? I'll do a coach.
Dude, that is hilarious.
I sang it at the freshman talent show too, and that's when Norris ran up on stage halfway through the song and said, "No, hell no, get the fuck off."
Dude, that is wild. Oh my goodness, that's so clearly, dude. Like you actually that invigorates. And
I love making other people uncomfortable too.
Yes.
That's
there's that is awesome. Doing that to your own kids is even more invaluable. Trying to embarrass them.
But the only time I really had a big sense of fear and uncomfortability besides a eulogy was doing podcasting full time and trying to make a career out of it, because podcasting is a situation where now it's flooded. I mean, it's not. It used to be a niche, and now podcasting is more popular than celestial radio.
Yeah, I was going to say it's better than your news outlets. I mean, a lot of people get their information from that. But I remember the first show we did when you interviewed me for the Husky Talk. And, bro, you were just so natural at curiosity of learning about people and processes. I mean, even on this show, it's hilarious when you're like, I had no idea. That's news to me. Like that humble nature and curiosity is such a great mix. To think that you were uncomfortable when it started. Obviously, how many shows do you have now? 12?
Now it's like 14, but I'm trying to cut back on them. But
so go to that. Like, and I remember your first show was probably 2.5 years ago, but even that first show, like, that's the thing with business. People are afraid to even start. And I know, Fresh, one of your comments there was like, don't let the fear or the risk stop you from at least trying, because you just never know. And you can always pivot and change. And I love how you've broadened the tree. You know, the trunk of your tree is Husky Talk, but the branches are all different athletics, different. I mean, it's fabulous. And it's just amazing to hear that was one of those instances where you were uncomfortable, and yet you stuck through it, and look at where you're at now. If you had not tried, we all miss out.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know because it was just the one show, and then connecting with Schumann, who was on a completely different level, and being able to work with him. And then, you know, it was really doing a show early on with Jamar and Tommy Collins,
where they told you.
They said, this is the way to go. He said, you know, make it UConn centric, because, you know, we need that. We need that connection. We need that networking, and we're missing that now. And I think that's an area you can take advantage of. And I was very nervous and hesitant to do it because I never believed in a million years it would work. So, and, you know, we're right there now that we have Husky Hub that Dave created that's starting to grow. And if that takes off the way we need it to, then we will break through the glass ceiling and be the top coverage for UConn sports and shows for UConn alumni. But yeah, I had a real fear about doing that because it was the first time not having a job. Not the first time, but the first time taking a chance on carrying it myself. And it's, you know, you got to put entertainment into it. Otherwise people aren't going to watch. You got to have a niche, and that's why we try to do a variety of different shows to have something for everyone. And I didn't know if it was going to succeed because there's a million podcasts out there.
Yeah. But I think
at UConn itself, we don't get a ton of coverage.
No, and I've seen a couple guys cover some stuff, but here's the best part is that, and it's like for me in real estate, I don't know, I think I reached out to you as soon as this happened, but I was with my daughter getting breakfast about a week ago. And it was Monday after Easter, because I just realized I never heard of Dingus Day. Dingus Day is a Polish holiday where you're done with Lent, and so now you kind of eat, and you can look it up because there's some old school things Polish used to do but anyways, it was Dingus Day. So we're sitting in there, and I always have UConn something on, it seems, or Marsh, and a woman walks by, and she's kind of looking at, it was the old school, the original Husky, you know what I mean, from when we were there in the 90s, and she's like, Huskies? She's like, hey, my friend played basketball at UConn. I'm not kidding you. This woman, maybe 10 years older than me, had a UConn women's basketball shirt on. And so I'm like, my mom would always be assertive, right? She doesn't just sit there. If she notices something, she'll go out. So I walk over to the table, start talking to her. She was on the 84, 85, 86 teams, the very first Gino Auriemma team. Dude, I Googled her while we were sitting there. Wow. I know her name. She emailed me. And so I'm sitting here like, hey, I'm going to have Maria Conlin maybe reach out and have you as a guest on her podcast, because have we gotten anybody who else like in that transit? I don't even know who the former coach was before Gino, but to be able to interview
I would love to have her on. Yeah.
Dude, she's from Pittsburgh. I don't even know what she does professionally now, but like, dude, she's in her mid-50s maybe, and she's still wearing, on a Monday morning after they lost the national title game, she's wearing her UConn women's basketball, much like I wear UConn gear everywhere. And I'm thankful my mom taught me to be assertive and create dialogue. I'm not looking for business necessarily, but it's like I'm looking for opportunities for the podcast, for your shows, to get good guests that are unique. And I can only imagine the stories she can tell, because Gino didn't come in all hard like he is now. Like starting a business, you have to get your feet wet. And then you start to realize that, hey, what you've built, people want to follow. So now you've got to kind of keep growing that. But it was just a neat opportunity. And another way, because Mackenzie wants to get her license. And these are the things where if you're in sales and you're like, you have to find correlation and similarities from your clients so that you feel more connected. I mean, listen, as soon as I got up from the table, she gave me a hug, like without a question, like we're Yukon people. I mean, it is amazing how those affiliations work. And again, I just look at every day, new opportunity. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what it's going to lead to. And do not let fear hold you back from, okay, we're in the middle of a restaurant. It's a crazy day. People can't find seats. And I'm sitting here bantering back because that's more important than rushing through the meal. And, I don't know. I don't need to, because the kids get uncomfortable. Do you really have to say hi to her? I mean, just because she's wearing a Yukon sweatshirt, it's like my kids know. Like, yes, this is, you never know who you're going to meet. She might be a CEO of some, consulting company down in Pittsburgh, and I just didn't get deep enough. So I think those are the things where it's just so exciting when you create opportunities. Like, thank you, Steve, for creating this, for myself and for Fresh and for Marie and all Schumann, all these others. I know you think Schumann's lifting you, but I'm pretty sure you're pulling him by the bootstraps. Tell him I said that. But no, I think it's just creating opportunities for other people and knowing that it does require a little bit of assertiveness and a little bit of fearlessness. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it could go bad, but if you focus on that, that is where it will go. Focus on what you want to create. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And, how would you say, especially for you in real estate, discomfort has showed itself in business relationships, either people you're working with, you're working for, people you're trying to sell for, besides a construction company guy? What experiences have you had with it?
Well, I think, because watching the market and as it shifts, I mean, it's easy to get comfortable in the market you're in. And then as we shift, whether it was the lawsuit as far as disclosing compensation to buyer's agency and things like it's easy to have fear creep up, or the winter months where it's slower. Like, is this ever going to pick up? We know from being in business that if you just keep doing the little things right, the big things will take care of themselves. So I think, like, for me right now, and this just happened, I had a coaching call on Friday with my business coach, and we're talking and we're sitting here like, we have 3 office locations, one of which is in West Mill Creek. There's 5 private offices upstairs, 2 conference room. My brother has an executive office. And Joey, Mackenzie's boyfriend, started his internship this morning with me. So Tuesday or Monday when I talked to him, I said, we'll meet Wednesday morning, but I'm not sure what we'll do. And by Tuesday, I'm talking to my brother Lucas. And I said, I talked to my business coach and he thinks it might be worth liquidating the Westridge office. Like, we have staff there, but nobody comes into the office. Levi barely goes in there. It's a great location. But I don't want to sell the business. And my business coach is like, but what if you're not using it? Here's the ultimate. He says, if you were to buy it today, if you had the opportunity to buy it today, would you buy it again? And I'm sitting here like, no, because since the pandemic, everybody works remotely. Nobody comes and sits in the office, at least for real estate. Now, there are some businesses. So I told Lucas that yesterday, and he's like, hey, one of our buddies is looking for an office location. He's with Merrill Lynch, a local financial advisor and stuff. And so sure enough, I reached out to him yesterday. And last night at the track meet, I said, hey, Joey, we have an appointment tomorrow morning at 10 at that Westridge office. And I just walked this guy through it. Now, I don't want to sell the office, but I also know that I have to make business decisions that make sense for the future of the business. And so my business coach has been so instrumental. And it's like, I just, even at that coaching call, I'm sitting here like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out things to do. I don't know. I don't let fear necessarily enter, but it's like,
is it because of the employees that work there?
Well, and this is the beauty. And this is why
you can transfer them or.
So listen, I trust the Lord so much with all these decisions. So I went in a little early today because I didn't want staff to say, "Hey, are we selling this building and I'm out of a job?" And it's like, no. In fact, as I'm sitting on that coaching call, I say that very thing. I'm like, we got staff there. She's awesome. She's young. I'm going to need her for the next 15, 20 years. And he looks at me. He's like, well, what about your title company? Now, our title company has been looking for a good employee for months now. So this morning when I was in the office, I'm like, hey, this is what's going on. Just throwing it out there. Is that something you consider? And it's 2 minutes from her existing office. And she's like, I definitely talked to Lynn, my partner in the title company. And so I'm sitting here like, I went into that coaching call nervous, a little fearful, because I'm like, I'm spinning around here, not sure what to do. I seek advisors for this very reason. And he's like, yeah, you might want to think about selling Corey and Westridge. If everybody's working out of Peach primarily, or they're remote, why are you carrying this overhead that's underutilized? It's
unnecessary. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's like, well, I'm kind of afraid that the general public's going to think we're going out of business or something. And he's like, dude, first of all, don't worry about any of that. You're making good business decisions for your business, but it's cloaked in fear because of what the perception will be. And yet, again, if you live by perception of others, bro, don't even start a business. Just don't, because you're going to have to make hard decisions. Yeah. And so I don't know where this is going. As I left the appointment this morning at 10, I reached out to my partner in title. You know, I just said, hey, what about this scenario? And she's like, that could be a great fit. So it's one of those things where 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, we might say, hey, remember that conversation where it was get comfortable being uncomfortable? Well, we did sell the building and now staff is with my other business and she's flourishing. I don't know what it's going to bring, but I know if I sat here and said, yeah, I just don't want, I don't know. I don't care. I don't want people to think we're, you do what makes the most sense. And this is like Fresh was mentioning, like you have to make hard decisions, dude. Yeah. If it makes sense for your business, what you're going to hang on and keep overhead to appease the public appearance? Like, what are we doing, dude? So, yeah, I mean, I've had some, and that's when Fresh reached out and said, hey, let's talk about getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. I'm like, bro, this is not more timely because I'm sitting here like we bought that office in 2012. I mean, we bought it and I think we bought it for 185 and we put 210,000 into it. You know what I mean? It's a great location. It's an awesome building and it's turnkey. So I know it would work well for somebody that needs office space. And so to kind of wrap that up, the guy I showed it to just says, honestly, great facility, but it's just not big enough for us with what we're trying to do. And I'm like, that's fine. It just came from my brother Lucas, heard, and you kind of spread through the grapevine, but you don't know what's going to get traction. And so I left the office and said to Joey, I'm like, see, now I'm just worried that she's going to go try to find another job because she's afraid we might sell.
Right.
And so but Fresh, tell me, right, as a business owner, these are the things you have to balance out. Like, yeah. And she's not going anywhere. She has been so loyal to us. But my fear is that she's going to now worry that at some point the hammer's going to drop. But, so it's something where, and I don't know if Levi's going to watch this. It's his office, and I haven't even told him yet. So, I mean, but again, that's my role as broker. I have talked to him about the idea, but he wouldn't have known that. Hey, I showed it this morning. But it's something where I know he has the confidence in me and my business acumen to make the right decisions. And I would never just make that decision without talking to the whole family. My mom and dad don't even know we've even mentioned this. So she sometimes watches this. Mom, we're not selling right away. But it is something where in business, you got to know your role. And for me, I tend to absorb the anxiety and the fears of our business because I feel that's my role. And again, it's not a lot of times it's excitement and success, but when it's challenging, that's my role, dude. So yeah, Fresh, when you mentioned the get comfortable being uncomfortable, bro, it could not have fit me more any better, but that doesn't mean it's comfortable. It is uncomfortable, but I'm more comfortable in it each time. So,
and Fresh, especially with you, with having a new business. I mean, there's got to be some discomfort in those situations and staying comfortable and keeping your confidence in what's about you. That there's times that must be challenging.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of it. I think, and for most entrepreneurs, you're going to go. There's uncertainty, right? Because when it's brand new, right? It's a lot of unknowns. So it's things you may not know, and you're learning certain stuff on the fly. Even if you have some experience, I think I've been fortunate enough that I had some business experience. I've had some experience starting things before, so some things you knew what to expect. But when you go into a whole total different industry, then different things. And then one of the things that kind of was mentioned earlier, Laban mentioned about like sometimes being concerned, even if sometimes it's unconscious, being concerned with like perception, like public perception. And sometimes you're not, it's like it's there, but you don't really understand how much impact that can have on you in terms of how you move and how it influences you in a sense. So I would say for me, prime example would be from moving from one location to the other location, right? So having basically my own location, just strictly all right, this is all me. Having that, and then it's like, okay, well, what my vision was initially, and going, okay, I have my own space. I do whatever I want to do with my space. I have it this way, and then this is the way it's going to move. But then you have certain factors that you have to deal with. All right, you have to deal with landlords when you don't own the space, right? They're fortunate they own their spaces. When you don't, now you have to deal with how this person, they may have certain things that they want or they don't want, and then now that's pushed upon you, and then you have to make some uncomfortable decisions. I had to make an uncomfortable decision, like, hey, I mean, some people that could have been the end of business. Like, hey, it didn't work out. The location, we had to close down. It's over, and that's how a lot of people end it, right?
That's their sign. Yeah, that's their sign that it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's their sign instead of
knowing what they want.
Yeah, now but for me, it's like, okay, well, we have to pivot. Like, I already know, and that's what we talked about, going back to the risk, and so it was like, okay, well, what's the risk? I had to weigh it. Okay, what am I risking if I go and I get another location? I'll go try to work out of somewhere else or whatever it is, and I had to assess it, and it just made sense. And then, but I had to step out my comfort zone to even go seek another place and then talk to, another landlord, if you will, another owner. And the craziest thing, like just similar to what Laban mentioned with his scenario, when I went to go look at another location and I called the guy, when he answered the phone, he was just like, you have no idea. I've been like, it was like, you just answered a prayer kind of thing.
Seriously. Wow.
Yeah. So it was serious. It's like, he's like, you don't know, man. Like, I've been thinking about this and I'm looking for somebody that can help do this and that. And then the next thing I know, now this relationship has progressed so much. It's a partnership to where, like, it's such a level of comfort. This dude, like, we kind of, the things we do, we feed each other's businesses, and it's great.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that if I would have let fear take over, for one, could have been out of business. For two, if I just would have, I would have never had the relationship I had. So it's very important that in business you embrace the opportunity that can come, that's on the other side of facing the fear. Right? Some people just they think about the fear and they get stuck on just the thought of the fear and what's so scary. Okay, but what happens? You got to process what does it look like on the other side of that? Like, if I get past this fear, if fear doesn't win, what does that look like? A lot of people don't process that part. They don't look at what's the benefit if I get past this? What's that? What does that look like? And when people actually do that and embrace it, or just give it a shot and see, it happens so much. And it's crazy. And it's, and related to an athletic thing too, because, we both coach. Man, I've had my guys did 3 meets in, I think, 5 days. We had 3 meets in 5 days.
Wow. That's a lot.
And so we had a meet on Thursday, a meet on Saturday, and then a meet on Monday. Because it was rescheduled.
Makeup, yeah.
And that was the only day that they had that they could do it. In those 3 days and 5 days, I had as a coach, I had to coach so many kids through fear, past of fear, and not even fear. I'm going to switch it back to what the topic is: the uncomfortableness. They were uncomfortable just with the movement. Like it's very we do technical events, right? Pole vault, throws. Throws are some of the most technical events around because there's so many. Because there's different ways to approach it, from going from the back to the front. Just going from back to front in a circle is, you wouldn't think it's that complicated, but it can get. But so my kids, they get discomfortable. They're uncomfortable because they think, okay, it's very easy to throw a power throw. It's the basic throw. It's the basic thing you do to throw a power throw. You stand in a spot, you turn one way, and then you turn the other, and you push out. Or you throw out. That's it. But after a while, you can only generate so much power by moving, starting basically in a static position. You have to create momentum to be able to throw the furthest you can throw. But when you start to do these movements and you have to turn and you have to shift, you got to do these things, it brings a level of discomfort because they got so comfortable with the basics. But for you to get to a higher level, to an advanced level, you have to step out of that comfort zone and embrace it and trust that process. And that's one of the biggest things that people have to know. There's a process to everything. If you trust your process and it's proven, you will come out on the other side victorious. But, don't go in there blind, willy-nilly. But it is always usually a process that you follow that can get you to the other side, can get you to the success that you're looking for. As long as you trust the process, push through the fear, get past the discomfort. And then once you get to that place where discomfort is not the end all be all, okay, that's the beginning of something great. And then you find yourself in a really good position.
Yeah, and one of the things I want to just follow up on that, because when you talk about all these kids and their fear, but what tends to happen, especially with the pole vault, much like very technical events, they start overthinking it, right? And so, like in business, right, you gotta, and this is where I go to Eisenhower's matrix of productivity, where you get into, again, what's urgent and what's important. You know what I mean? And again, even in training, I'm sitting here like there's 18 different aspects to the pole vault. I want to focus on one or two and let the rest of the event or the rest of the technique take care of itself. Like if you do one or two things, if you run fast and plant tall, the rest of it will take care of itself. So part of that in business is knowing what your core activities, if you will, dollar productive activities, and you have to stay in that important and urgent aspect of business. Again, because it kind of takes away the fear when that's where you're focusing, because it's what you're good at, right? And that's where in the periodization, as far as, hey, right now we're just learning. I need you to be great in mid-May at districts, right? So we can, but you have to still take these attempts so we can learn and grow through the process, because the things we were working on when you started in March might be different in May, but part of it is just getting over that fear. And for me, it's a procedural thing. Like once they get 1 and 2, then we can go to 3 and 4. But if you try to start at step 5, of course you're going to feel frustrated and overwhelmed because you're not taking the right approach. And so much in starting a business, they just think, hey, I'm going to start on step 5 and not take care of 1, 2, 3, and 4 through that due diligence. Or whereas like, yeah, but I was just too afraid to start there. I knew this, so I just went full bore. And it's like, dude, you came in at step 5. You need to back it up, find a good advisor or coach. And that's where I think, Fresh, when you had said you went to that new facility and the guy's like, this is heaven sent, right? I mean, and a lot of negotiations have to be a win-win, and it doesn't come out of desperation, but it's amazing how many times. And when it was Joey's first day, I'm like, dude, I don't know what's going to come in the next few years, but the fact that this is your first day interning with me, and this is the opportunity that came about when we didn't think we'd have an appointment, I don't know what this is going to bring, but it's just one more step. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
So
Exactly.
have an idea of what you want to create.
The big picture.
But don't be afraid to take the fork in the road, because that new path might be where you need to be going. You know what I mean? So don't let fear stop you from taking a path that you might know, as Fresh said, like the facility didn't work out, but he knew it was a part of his mission to do this service. And he found a place that was even more of an embrace for you and your business. And now it's led to ancillary opportunities for both of you. So that's just so much of what having the assertiveness and the confidence in yourself that you're going to find a solution, right? Because I can sit here and point out the problems. I tell any of our agents, if you have an issue, come in, talk to me with at least 2 solutions, because I don't want to hear the problem.
I know. I hate that. I hate that when people complain. It's funny because I actually had this conversation with Razul about people staying in similar routines. Yeah. He was clashing with his father, who also sells real estate, and he does it in Brooklyn. His father was a cop, retired, got into real estate, really smart, and he's been successful. But Razul clashes with him because Razul does so much, and as he says, he only has the bandwidth to do this a certain amount, and his dad expects a lot. And I said, well, Razul, I think it's more of a generational thing. And he kind of agreed because this guy, his dad has done things for a different generation that he grew up in that has always worked for him. And he's always had success doing it. Yeah. So he stays with what he knows and he expects to be successful. So that is one reason I think that he is stuck in familiar routines. But why do you think as well people will stay with what's familiar?
I mean, it's
with what they know.
It's that comfort zone. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times when they envision the perfect world, they just think it's unattainable. And I guess that's where I've always felt, and I guess this is where when you live out of fear, you know what I mean, all the time, you can't dream. Like, I feel like the last 5 years have been so challenging in the market with low inventory. You're almost in like survival mode. And like, I'm a dreamer. Like, you have to understand your personality too. Now, my brother Levi is black and white. That's why he's an official. He likes numbers. He follows rules.
Likes the rules.
I mean, it's just a different personality type. But when I realize that I'm not dreaming, and some of my dreams are outlandish and crazy, but I'd rather have all these dreams and never accomplish them than just be stuck in a rut and feel like, oh, I could never do what I really want to do. Like, there is something about that eternal optimism that you actually need. And whether it's the fake it till you make it, I mean, you have to understand, don't go being like Corey and try to flip 15 homes at once. That's not realistic. Is that her name, Corey?
Corey.
Really but I think that's where being real, like, there's such a balance between that duality of, you know, being a dreamer, but also being realistic in what your capacity is, your financial outlay. I mean, and I'll give you one example. On Sunday, I showed a property that we have listed, started like 1.1. It's down to 700,000. It is a huge.
How long has it been on the market?
It's been on the market 2 years. It had some insurance issues with some water claims, but this thing is so monstrous. So the client's sitting here like, hey,
it's commercial too.
Well, right, it's commercial, but
it do a ton of.
But I mean, I know well enough that what it's going to take. And these guys are sitting here asking me what they think they can get it for. I represent the seller, and it's a dual agency. So I know they'd take 700,000, which is what they're asking. But the better question is, hey, if they just said, we're going to give you this property, how much do you think it's going to take to get this up and running into what you want? And that's the number that scares me. Like, it's to the point where it's not even about the acquisition. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And are you realistic to know what it's going to take from the architects, from the permitting, like
for what they want to do.
Yeah, if you said to me it's going to cost me $1 million to rehab this, I'd be like, yeah, sounds about right.
Like
so,
your friend Corey, she purchased that Midway mansion that had all these problems, that was built on wetlands.
Yes.
It was going to take over $1 million in renovations, and she still went through with the sale.
And that's right. That is so ignorant, and that's a recipe for disaster. Now, listen, I understand if like you want to prove people wrong, but at the same time, right? The greatest thing in life is doing things others tell you can't. But if it sounds too good to be true, it is. Not it probably is. It is. Like somebody else would have done that already if it was that easy.
If it was manageable and feasible.
Right.
And if you look through the addendum that she signed about like the seller is going to assume costs for this, and this, the buyer's not assuming costs for this, and it lists all the things that have to be done before the place can be hospitable.
Yeah, right.
It blows my mind that someone would do that. So your place, obviously, I mean, it still would require $1 million of renovations or close to it.
Yeah, and that's where the conversation with the buyer is, okay, let's say you run out of funds, right? You're at $500,000 and now you've got a place not finished enough to start making money and housing people, right? And now you have a building that either needs substantial more work. Like the biggest thing in buying a piece of real estate is seeing how saleable it is on the back end. And I tell sellers all the time, or I tell buyers, when they're looking through homes or buildings and they see something wrong with it. For instance, I showed another home on Sunday that had a shared driveway. Like we couldn't park in the driveway because it's residential neighborhood, but there's a shared driveway. So doesn't matter how much you like the house. If you can't find a solution to widen your driveway and separate that, when you go to sell, buyers you're going to reduce your number of buyers because people don't want to deal with a shared driveway.
Okay, I don't know what that is. What's a
shared driveway? So like you have two homes, right? Yeah. And in the middle is a driveway that splits. It goes to a garage behind the one home. The driveway goes to a garage behind the other home.
Why is that a problem?
Because if one neighbor decides, I work third shift, I'm just going to park my car in the driveway.
Oh, and I see what you're saying.
The neighbor wakes up and tries
to garage though, right?
Right, but that doesn't change the fact that, like, hey, when you have guests over, can't leave them in the drive. Like,
I see what you're saying.
The neighbor always has to get out. So yes, the driveway is shared, but most people, you're talking. They got a 1-car garage. It's not like there's a 5-car garage, so they're never going to park in the driveway. It's just. And then it was like, and it was great because one of the things I said to him, as soon as I walked to the house, I see 2 septic mounds. And I'm like, oh, this must be on septic. And the buyer reads to me, he says, hey, I have a buddy that invested, said, ask you about sewer connections. So I go off and I serve on the sewer authority. So I'm like, well, I tell you, this could be, $20,000 to tie in. And even if you buy and you have a functioning system, it's DEP is going to make you tie in. So I'm going through all the like kind of worst case scenarios. When we finish the appointment, the neighbor across the street comes over. Apparently they teach together, so he knows them. And this guy starts telling him like, oh, this was supposed to be because I said they might have had this ready to do 5 years ago, but the pandemic shut it down because of finance. So he comes over, he's like, well, they were supposed to do it like 5 years. Everything I said inside, this neighbor basically
repeated.
My buyer's like, dude, that is scary how you like have a crystal ball. And yet it's just because I have the experience to know some of the hangups, and that's part of the reason that home isn't selling. But again, the buyer would never know to think about this, to ask about this. So we walk through the home and they like the home, but do you like that you might have to drop $20,000 on public sewer when it comes through? Are you okay with a shared driveway? Like it's more than just the home.
The home.
And again, I don't, obviously I want to make sales, but I don't want to make a sale and then have a buyer be like, how did you not tell me this or do your due diligence? So I have had more than enough experiences to where, it is wild, man.
What about you, Fresh? I mean, people staying and what's familiar. Some people stuck in their own ways. What do you think the reason for that is? And I told Razul, I thought it was more a generational thing with his dad just kind of doing what he's always done and what he's comfortable in and staying in that comfort zone.
Yeah, I mean, it can be definitely that, right? I think that is probably the majority for most people. They're comfortable with being comfortable, right? This is comfortable. That's why people stay at a lot of different jobs and things.
Yeah.
It's a comfortable thing. It feels easy. You know what it is. All right, I work from 9 to 5. I get a certain amount, and that's what I get. I know my check. Like, they're just comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I know
I'm happy.
what it is. But at the same time, it becomes a problem when those same people are going, man, I just don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. Or I want so much more.
Walk away, bro.
They regret.
Yeah,
Walk away.
I want to take my family on these vacations. I want to do these things. I want to live a little, but you just feel like, oh, I can't. I'm stuck. Well, you have to do something different. It's because you've settled and you've gotten comfortable. So you have to accept what comes with that.
Yeah.
The same way you can accept what comes with that discomfort. With that discomfort, it comes a whole new world of opportunity and surprises and things that come with it and reward too, right? But the thing is that you got to pay to play, if you will, right? You got to pay the price.
Sure do.
The price of discomfort to play the game you want to play. So, we all know this from being, athletes. We had to pay the price, right? To become, for one, just to make a Division I football team is not easy. And then even on that, like, to be selected and then to maintain and then to be a starter is a whole nother ballgame. And it's funny, I was thinking about this earlier, is that so many people, right? If we had to, and I was like, if I was a coach at the college level, how would I address to get certain things across to athletes, to let them know that, like, the work's not done or that you have more to give? It's because and this made me think. I was just thinking about a Letterman jacket, right? A lot of times, almost everybody, when we got to campus, when you go to campus, people have their Letterman jackets on, whatever, with the record, if they went undefeated, state champs, this, that, and the third, all of these accolades. The difference is when we sat in a room, I was like, if I was a coach and I said, raise your hand if you were top 3 player in your team. Raise your hand if you were all conference, all state. Most hands would have went up and stood up if you were the best player, this, that, and the third. So understand that, like, you were one of one or one of two at your high school, but now you're one of many. Everybody's good, right? Yeah. Even the backups are good, right? Even the guys who again just walked on the team are good, right? So it's one of those things where you have an opportunity to know, like, look, you have to. It doesn't matter what you did before, what you did in high school, what you did at another job, and how good you were at that job. You want to play in a different stratosphere. Then you got to take yourself to a level that you haven't experienced before. It has to be something that you're willing to take yourself out of that comfort to experience something else. You have to want to try at least to get out of, so that you can get out of a routine and develop a new one.
Listen, dude, and what you made me think about is what most business owners don't want to do. It's a lot like the top performing athletes, right? Where, hey, they want to win the event, so don't bring the top kid in the state. I want to win the meet. Whereas in business, you have to hire people better than you. That means you go and find the state leading guy. And if you're number 2, you bring him in because he's number 1, not number 4, so you can beat him. Like, that is where I thought the difference of UConn was. It wasn't like, oh, I'm better than you. It was, bro, you better bring your game because I am going to outwork you. And no one outworked anyone in their own opinion. You know what I mean? Like, it was not, hey, I don't, or these quarterbacks, right, that have somebody getting drafted behind him. All right, well, freaking work harder, dude. Like, you're worried because they drafted a number one quarterback? So are you just going to fold up and not compete? Like, that is what so many business owners do, is that they want to be in charge. They don't want to hire somebody better than them to make them look bad. And so they stay in complacency. They don't grow or get better because they don't want to hire somebody that's better than them. Whereas the right thing as a business owner is, just like any good coach, go out and recruit and find people better than who you have, so that when you bring them in, who you have gets better because of them, not quits the team because now they got a replacement. Like in the pole vault that I coach, I have kids fighting tooth and nail at every meet, boys and girls. I've got 4 girls that have qualified for districts. So I can only take 2 or 3. I can take 3 to districts. So I have to send somebody that qualified home at some point. And guess what? I don't have to send them home. How high did you jump? How, like, this
the
is
numbers. Yeah.
Like, I don't care how much I like you. If you're a foot, I mean, my own daughter is 6 inches lower than number 4. So she's our number 5 vaulter right now. She understands how it works. It's her 4th year in it. It's unfortunate from my perspective if she really wants to vault, because it's going to be hard for her to crack it. My son, Drew, qualified for districts last night. He's still number 4. He won't get to compete unless he out jumps a senior that's 6 inches higher. And so I'm sitting here. Drew has the attitude like, I want to knock that senior off. The senior either is fearful that Drew's going to knock him off, or he's going to use it as fuel to stay. I have to stay ahead of you. Like, if that senior would just say, you know what, Drew's getting good, I'm going to quit. It's like, dude, what? Then you are not employable. Like, if you're not coachable, you're not employable. If you're going to fold when I bring in somebody maybe better than you, just perform better, dude. Use it as fuel instead of fear. And that's what drives me nuts, is when, again, you're trying to find the best people for your business, and yet you're afraid to hire them because they might be telling you what to do. You want to hire somebody like my controller might make recommendations for me on finances. Like, that's what I hired you for, dude. So I think there is something about that confidence and looking for others to lift you up, right? I mean, if you're a business owner that only hires people so that you can tell them what this is not going to work, you have to find people to help grow your business and people that are better than you. It's how you delegate. If you delegate and then oversee and micromanage, you didn't delegate anything. Yeah. I don't know where that rant came from. I'm pretty fired up. I just love competition, dude. And for me, I compete with my 2 brothers. We have the same fear of throwing pens. We have the same fear of influence, and yet we're competitive. We're not like,
that's why you have successful businesses, 100%. Yeah. All right, we'll be right back. Down south, we have Julius Williams, Jordan Harris, and the rest of the team of the Trench Mob. They train offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments and college showcase camps all across the country. They have sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Clemson, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, just to name a few. They have sent the highest percentage of kids who work with them to Division I schools on scholarship. To work with the best, go to trenchmobfootball.com. Nedvonne Young runs the FreshFold Laundry Company in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, a high-end laundry service. You book online, put your laundry out in a clear plastic bag. They pick it up, wash, dry, and fold it for you in 48 hours. They also offer an expedited service if you need that as well. They have an online subscription model, weekly or bi-weekly, where you can get your laundry done that way. They offer deals for college students. So if you want your laundry done, you can do it in your own dorm. They have a pickup and now a delivery service. So you can have your laundry done without leaving the comfort of your own home or dorm room. To sign up, go to their website, my-freshfold.com. All right. And we are back. And this is going to be our rapid fire round.
All
So
right.
get ready. What boundary would you say that you set that improved your business overnight?
Can I take this?
Sure.
And this is so contradictory for the real estate industry, but I don't answer my phone. And the reason I
think
don't
that's
answer
huge.
my phone, I anytime I'm with somebody, and I may have said this before, is I'm with somebody for lunch, for a
You give
meeting.
them your attention.
I will take 45 minutes to an hour talking about everything, usually put my phone away or at least face down. And then I'll say to them, hey, how long have we been here? Oh, an hour? Hey, just you notice how I haven't even looked at my phone in the last hour. So I'm just trying to be with whoever I'm with. And so if you reach out to me and I don't answer my phone right away, send me a text. I'll get right
I
back
know.
to you as soon as I can. But honestly, I disclose that to every client, anybody
That's
who
huge.
might be communicating with me. And the outside world probably thinks I never answer my phone, but my people know that I do it so that I can focus on who I'm with, give them the attention. And so I don't get distracted while I'm doing things because I know for me, my personality, squirrel, ADHD, whatever it is, like I have to be with who I am with. And I like to think my clients feel like they appreciate that because I'm not like, oh, hold on, checking my phone for text message every like there's something to be said, especially in today's world of not being able to focus at all, to just sit and be with who you're with. So for me, it's giving that disclosure and having confidence, knowing that if you really need me, you'll shoot me a text or send me an email. But it really made for a better approach to business and life because people know if I don't answer, I'm not ignoring them. I'm just focused on who I'm with.
Fresh, what uncomfortable habit changed your productivity most?
A comfortable habit changing my productivity the most. Initially, writing things down. So initially, it's like, all right, you'll remember, right? And a lot of times you
That's
do.
true.
But once you start, the cool thing about this, man, and this is like, I mean, this is just how God, kind of how God works. You know, He tells us, you know, bring us your, you know, He wants bring our burdens, bring our thoughts, questions, and like you bring the things to Him. So, and once you put it on paper, you make it real. You take it from a thought concept, you make whatever is going on real when you write it on paper.
That's exactly
To
what
like
Rob Hill
whether it's
says.
to work out or it's to go do this or to check this out or to follow up. Once you start writing these things down, you make it real. And then
Yes.
it's like, okay, you're telling me, and again, God wants to give us the desires of our heart. He's like, all right, so you're telling me this is what you want. All right. So whether you didn't realize it, if you wrote it down, sometimes it could be days,
It'll
months,
manifest.
it could be years. And then, but you go, oh, it's just he's just putting you in position, getting you ready to receive what it is you asked for. And if you don't receive it sooner than later, more than likely it's just that you're just not ready to receive it yet. But once you are ready, right? Once you're ready, you'll receive it. So for me, is writing stuff down, and basically, you know, writing a vision and making it plain. That was something just really making that a routine, a regular thing, so that was uncomfortable initially because you're just like, and then but you have to do it to become more disciplined and just to be more on top of things as a business professional.
I mean, Rob Hill says the exact same thing to me all the time. That's one thing.
Well, and the more specific you get with that, like we tell people all the time, I mean, the more you focus on what you really want, the more likely it is to manifest. And that's good or bad. If you're focusing on the negative and your fear, that's what shows up. And I think that is what for so many successful people, and even the movie, the book, The Secret, it's not a secret, dude. The people that are successful, they know that they manifest their future by what they do, how they think, who they surround themselves with. And no, it doesn't happen overnight, but that's where one of the examples they give is planting the seed. And it takes water, sunlight, nutrients, but you're not going to see anything out of the ground for a month or two. So if you just quit before it even hits the surface, you're never going to reap any harvest. And I think that's where planting those seeds of hope, right? And I think for so many business owners, hopelessness is what stops them from even starting. And I think my mother, I'm 47 years old. We've been open 18 years. My mother started when she was 47 years old. Like, we opened Marsh & Marsh when my mom was my age. Is that right? No, that can't be right. That's not true. My math is wrong. But no, it was when she got her license, I think. So, like, and you hear that about KFC. Like, how many people didn't even start until they were in their 40s, 50s? Like, so much of your 20s and 30s is what prepares you for that. And so it's like, and I'm trying to tell my kids, like Mackenzie, she's working for my wife right now, wants to get her license, but every opportunity and experience is part of that journey to wherever you're trying to go. And yet I think a lot of people, especially the older folks that have been around the block, realize that it's not even the finish line that's most enjoyable. It's the journey getting there, because you didn't realize how many fork in the roads you have that, I changed paths a little bit, but man, when I did, look who came into my life. And so I think that's where Fresh, it's like, get started, have a plan, write it down, but be willing to deviate. Like, and that's what caught me up. Like, I was buy and hold. And so when the market shifted and I decided to start selling things, I'm like, this is not what I planned 20 years ago. Okay, but 20 years ago, you didn't know there was going to be the 08 recession. You didn't know there was going to be the 2020 pandemic. Like, you have to be willing and able to pivot. And the last thing I would say, that pizza shop that I wanted to buy, like, she didn't change some of the things because, quote unquote, that's the way Daddy did it. And I said to my daughter after that meeting, I said, Kenzie, if when I'm older and if you're running this business or I'm gone, please do not do anything because that's the way I did it. Like, use your intuition, your experience, your knowledge to make the right decision, but please don't do anything because that's the way your dad did it. I didn't know a whole lot. I'm learning on the fly. You know what I mean? So I think you just have to be careful going back to that original, like, it's more comfortable to just keep doing it the way I'm doing it, even though I see that this doesn't really make sense anymore. Having that 2,000 square foot office on Westridge with 6 private offices and only staff coming in every day, like, does that even make sense right now in 2026, or does it even make sense in 2036? So yes, I can hold on to it for it to go up in value and build equity, but if the expenses going to it don't flush out the profitability, am I a good and savvy business person because, well, we bought it, 14 years ago and we should just keep it. You gotta be nimble, flexible, and understanding of the environment, the market that you're in.
And, that's why I give James Whitfield so much credit. I mean, he had success selling cable. He was the top of the game. He was at FUBU as a fashion designer, top of the game. And then in his 60s, he goes into insurance. It just amazes me that he was willing to pivot and change so much because he wanted more and he thought he could get more from it. It always impressed me about it. What would you say, Fresh, your first instinct when a big client says no?
My first instinct when to say no. So at being in sales, and Laban may be able to relate to this as well. When you're in sales, a lot of times you're trained, like I was trained and been trained to always work to, like, a no is just, one step closer to a yes, right? It's just either or not now. So some version of it, right?
The times,
one step closer to it's just no, not now, or it's, I'm always working towards the yes. So you could tell me no, and I'm going to be like, oh, okay, I understand that. What's your,
What's your hesitation?
What's your hesitation, or what caused you to say no? Because you kind of said that no kind of quick. It didn't seem like you gave it too much thought. What's your thoughts behind the no? Well, I just don't feel okay. So then you start to peel back the layers and find out where the pain point is, and then you have to be willing to dig a little bit deeper. So as long as you're willing to dig deeper, you go there. Like, so for me, it's just really a no is just it's just a part of the dance, right?
It's not the end of the journey.
Like, it's just a no is like, okay, it's like we talking through a handshake. Oh, okay, all right. And then I'm getting to meet you. It's a dance, it's a shuffle. Unless you tell me no and you run away. If you tell me no and you still standing there, or the phone isn't hung up, that means you didn't really say. That's just that knee jerk. That's that fear, right?
Yeah.
That has you initially, and it's funny. So and again, I want to take this time just tie some scripture in there. I think I put it in the chat too, right? So
yeah,
Second Timothy 1:7, man. It just says, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, right? But a power of love and of love and of a sound mind. So look, amen. We don't have a spirit of fear. We shouldn't let it, right? It's just something that's a fleeting thing that happens. Don't let that fear guide you. So when someone tells me no, okay, I'm not upset about it. Or if for me, I even question myself. You got to question yourself sometimes. Okay, what am I afraid of? Like, what can really happen? And this is the thing. I learned this when I was probably a teenager in middle school. And this happened from my older sister taught me this. And she taught me this because I was fearful of talking to a girl. There was a girl I wanted to talk to.
Fresh? Really?
Yeah. So again, I'm 12, 13.
Teenager. Yeah.
And my sister says to me, like, you got to step out there. Like, what's the worst she could say is no. She's like, have you heard no before? And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, the worst thing she could say is no. Like, just go do it.
The end of the world.
And then from that point on, just no. Like, I've been told no all the time, and like it just wasn't the thing.
You're gonna hear more no's than yeses. You're always gonna hear it.
But, like, and listen,
changed my life.
But you're right, because my mother has always said all they can say is no. And I'm talking about whatever you might ask for. And I have actually spun it on the receiving end more than anything, and we've talked about audacious requests. Like, hey, my mom always said it's okay to ask, but absolutely not. I would not deviate from my principles to help you with this sale. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to ask, but then the guys in Connecticut that I work for at Alliance Roofing, they always told me this is the best advice ever. Repeat back to them what they just said so they can hear how stupid they sound.
Yes, exactly.
And honestly, but it is one of those things where, hey, I don't mind somebody asking a question that I have to say no to. But to your point, Fresh, my mom always, like, I don't care. And then the other thing that she'd always teach me is act like you belong there. Meaning, like, I remember at the Notre Dame UConn women's basketball game, I wanted to go see Hootie. We're at Notre Dame. Oh, this is a great story because it was when Notre Dame was making that big run with Freeman. So I'm like, I'm just going to go down to the court side and just walk to see Hootie. Now, they had security everywhere, but I just look like I belong there. So I didn't
keep walking.
Dude, I keep walking along the baseline. The crowd starts going crazy. I'm about to wave, and then I look to my right, and it's Marcus Freeman. And so I think they were clapping for him, not me. But I did get over to see Hootie. I gave her a big hug. But part of it is, like, act like you belong there. You know what I mean? Like, if it's an uncomfortable situation, just act. Same thing with track. Like, can I come onto the infield? I'm just going to walk into the infield, and all they can say is, no, sorry, you have to leave. But you better believe I'm going to walk in there and try until somebody tells me no. Do you know what I mean? So I've never been afraid to tell somebody no, especially if they ask something so audacious. And I lean on that, listen to how crazy they are. But it is something where you have to be willing to step out there and ask, to go for it. And again, a lot of times the only thing they can do is say no. But most people that say no at least appreciate that you're willing to even ask. As crazy as it might be, I give them credit for being willing to ask something so crazy, but I'm willing to say no.
All right, last one. One uncomfortable metric you obsess over?
Fresh, you got that?
Obsess. I mean, obsess is a very
that's
strong
intense,
word.
bro. That's
So
like
I'm like,
wake up in the middle of the night to check
Uncomfortable
something.
metric you check.
Uncomfortable metric you check. I mean,
or you look at, or it's
well, I mean, you have to. It's. I would say of like sales conversions, like leads and conversions, because people talk about it all the time about keeping your pipeline filled, filling your pipeline, and or just doing things, from whether it's keeping your pipeline filled or doing things that fill your pipeline. And I'll say that. So just today, right? And this is what you have to do as a business owner. So today, a lot of times people are big on like, all right, let's market, let's do advertising, let's do Google, let's do Facebook, you name it, right? All of the digital stuff. But I had some deliveries today in a neighborhood, and in the neighborhood that I haven't visited before. So I got a new client in this neighborhood. So I put out door hangers. I walked a little bit. I took 30 minutes and I walked and did some door hangers.
Old school. Love it.
Old school. Like sometimes it's what you gotta do. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I would say, I wouldn't say I obsess over it, but there's power in grassroots movements of doing things. Like old school, someone opening their door and seeing a tag on it, or someone going, oh, okay. Or like just things where it's like a person did this, right? It's not your typical,
it's not
typical
AI.
like spam emails and stuff like that.
Campaign, yep.
Yeah, it's so different now. Like, believe it or not, we've gotten so sensitive and not, we don't even receive mail anymore. Sometimes I'll even look at some of the spam mail a little different now, because it's like you don't receive mail anymore. So now that's the mail you get. You're like, okay. Normally you used to get mail that was personable. Now so when you get an opportunity to get something that someone is kind of reaching out, I think people give it a second thought more now, because it's not as much.
Yeah, and I think that's I hope those personal touches start coming back. You know what I mean? I think it's so easy to lean on the technology, and even with that client that I showed the home to with the sewer issues, I hadn't seen him in a month or two because there hasn't been much activity, and they're like, well, this isn't going to work for us. But honestly, I know that it's important for me to stay in front of them more regularly. It's going to help them to manifest the home they want. I pick up new nuances from them, because when I sit for a buyer consultation, they think they know what they want. They go out and start looking at homes, and I notice them pointing out things that we didn't talk about, but clearly are of major importance. They have one child, one on the way. This was a 3-bedroom home. And when you go to the 3-bedroom, it was not your traditional space. So like you have to go through and see it. But I now know, hey, if they're expecting a second child, they want 2 bedrooms close to theirs. There's just those little things. But if I haven't seen them in a couple months. I don't think she was pregnant the last time I saw them. So like they're getting ready for a second child in the process of us finding a home. And it's not like, and I guess she could say, hey, we're changing the way we're looking because we're expecting another child. But it's something that, and they still didn't talk about it. And you never ask a woman if she's pregnant. Trust me. But I also know she's got her hand on her belly and they start talking. And it's like, okay,
you're not
I
blind.
still didn't address it. It's just an assumed thing.
You're not
right
blind.
now.
Yeah.
But that's where it is good to get in front of them, and they realize that you're trying to find them opportunities and looking. And so I think going back to Fresh's point, sometimes, and we tell people all the time, going back to like office space, hey, Levi used to tell our manager, he's like, listen, everybody in here has an agent. Why would I come into the office? All these people have agents. They're agents themselves. I need to be out meeting people.
Yeah.
And so if you're slow, go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, walk the aisles, talk to people that are doing light fixtures. Hey, what are you doing? Are you improving the house, getting ready to sell? I happen to be a licensed agent. Let me know if I can help you. I can even come over and tell you if that's the right thing to do with your money.
Absolutely.
Or if you can save it, because buyers don't care about that. So I'm a big proponent, and my mom's always said that, go out to lunch. It's amazing. I take my kids to lunch and dinner. How many times we run into somebody who I know is a client of mine, past client, whatever else. So You got to get out there, pound the pavement.
Yeah. I would say for me, definitely impressions versus viewership, and then the hours of viewership that we get versus the views. So
right.
I hate.
So and to understand that's somebody that just opened this up, watched it for 30 seconds, and then went by. That counts as a viewer.
That counts as an impression. They didn't view it. They have to view it for a certain amount of time for it to count as a view. Yes.
Do you know what that is? Because I'll try to be more funny at the front. So like we can keep
I mean, if they watch at least 20 to 30 minutes of the show, it counts as a view.
Nice.
And then I get the hours per week that of viewership. So that gives a good idea of, how many hours that people are watching the shows per week. So that is very uncomfortable to look at and makes me
but it's very important to look at because it is. I think you have to look at that and see, I'm joking around that I have to be funny at the front, but like, how do you get more sticky for them to stick around longer?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all things that you can sit and evaluate if you have that data. But some people don't even look at the data and they just let it roll. So those are the ways you can improve your business.
I mean, you can see everything. You see where the viewership comes from. You can see state by state. You can see countries. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. I mean,
I'd be down that rabbit hole lost for hours just getting in my C personality. Wow.
I have been, believe me.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing, man, in my opinion, is just if you have kind of relatable content that people can like that makes sense. I like, that's relatable. I can understand that. And you make it plain, right? You don't convolute it, don't make it too complicated. I think that's a sticking point. And the more we keep producing things that people like, this makes sense. So I can relate to that. Oh yeah. Like, just like what's the topic today, I would hope that people can relate to, like, sometimes you got somebody comfort zone. I think everybody understands that. So these things, we keep doing it. I think it'll have a big impact.
I mean, to have the viewership that we've had, and the hours that people have watched, that I never would have expected. So it's definitely working. And two of the largest viewerships, Fresh's area, Chapel Hill, Charlotte, North Carolina as a state, and then Erie County, Mill Creek, several areas around you, and then Buffalo. It's crazy. So it's definitely working. But you hit the nail on the head today, guys. Great episode. Great talking points. Great advice. Fresh, thank you for pulling that up, and it was a lot better than what I was going to talk about. So,
well, Fresh, you're amazing. You're the AI king, bro.
He's the producer, man. King. He's the producer. He's the consultant and producer.
You guys are amazing. I would love to hire you both.
Yeah,
I feel like I have hired you. I'm just way underpaying you.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm underpaying you. So, for I'll say the king of real estate in Erie, Pennsylvania, Laban Marsh, not the King of Kings. That, of course, is Jesus Christ.
Yes,
Laban's close. Laban's close. He's on the path.
No, dude, you saw what? Stop, bro. You saw what Trump just posted. Where?
Oh my God,
dude! I do not need.
Let's not do
it. With him calling out the Pope, I was like, wow, that. Wow. Yep. You are. That's not the guy you want to call out. I don't know many people who do that. And the entrepreneur extraordinaire, FreshFold Laundry Co, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Hit him up. He's there for you. Steve Cully, best podcast host in the universe. Remember, life gives you lemons. Don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges. Throw them right back at life. Give me the spin.